welcome back to Open. So, it's Earth Month, even though Earth Month is every month. And, well, we thought what better to honor Mother Earth, that is, dearest, than by reconnecting, right? So, Cindy by Nature LLC is an organization dedicated to reconnecting New Yorkers to nature through mindful outdoor experiences. They offer custom retreats for different New York organizations, whether it's for a day or a weekend, which include land acknowledgements, walking meditation, custom nature, connection activities, tea, and more. Everyone, please welcome Cindy by Nature LLC's founder, Cindy Olsen. Hello and
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. So thrilled to have this conversation with you.
So am I. I have to say, really, just your essence carries nature. You just the way you're radiating. You're very radiant, right? And I'm sure you do a lot of work in that area of just going inside, right? And I'm sure that comes from meditation. I'm a meditator as well. But when you're in nature, there's an exchange that happens, and aside from the way you're dressed, you're carrying it, and it's so beautiful. You're like a beautiful ray of sunshine.
I feel like I'm sitting next to the sun, so that feels really lovely
Oh my gosh!
to hear from you. So
nice.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful reflection. Thank you. Yes, it's deep like that, and I love what you do.
Thank you.
I love what you do, and I would love to know, like, what inspired you to just make this your thing as your occupation, aside from doing it for yourself and servicing yourself, because it is a great form of self-care.
Yeah.
But before we go into how you, I guess, customize the programs to each individual, let's talk about you.
Yeah, so it's a great, because 15 years ago, if you would have been talking to me, we'd be sitting in a high rise in Manhattan, and I would have been in front of an Excel spreadsheet working on financial. I was a finance executive, and I was watching my life pass by. Meanwhile, my nightstand was about to topple over with books about the natural world, because it was always the place I went to for peace and that solitude. And I just felt like this is not how I want to live. So I stepped off that treadmill and started to take a really close look at how I wanted to spend the rest of my life. And when I looked at the world, the two biggest problems I could see out there were the health of our planet and the health of us,
Right.
the mental health of us.
Right.
And so I decided to spend every day from that day on working on both of those two things. And so the work I do, it brings those two worlds together, the worlds of connecting with nature and connecting with ourselves and each other.
You know, what's really beautiful about this is, like, you could have very easily relocated to a place that is predominantly nature driven, right? And I know you travel to experience that, but instead you've chosen to remain here and to offer it in the parks here, right? Specifically Wave Hill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And teach our metropolitan lifestyles how we can formulate some sense of balance by honoring what's accessible to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think as New Yorkers, we're in this trance of busyness so often that we can just walk right by the nature that's sitting right next to us. And I mean, there's nothing, to me, it's absolutely wonderful to travel to Nepal and see the Himalayan mountains, but the dandelion growing out of the sidewalk crack is pretty amazing.
It is.
And so I'm trying to, step by step, offer ways of people connecting with nature that lets them see what's right there. You can't take a New Yorker and say, go from 100 miles an hour to 0.
Right.
That's asking too much.
Right.
And so everything that I offer is a sequence of slowly stepping our way towards slowing down so that you can really see what's there, have that sense of awe.
Right. And so I want to say that the pandemic, I want to say, it exacerbated our mental state in general as a whole.
Yes.
As a global community, right? And this medicine that you're offering is really where it's at. And I say that and I stand behind it because it's how I live. And I consider myself a metropolitan gal, but I have the privilege of living across the street from a park. And because of that, I have been able to restore, because being with nature is almost like a restoration, not only for the plants and the trees, because they're living things too. You know, we're coexisting, really.
Absolutely.
And so, in that, I'm saying, I'm sharing on a personal level, because I encourage you all to take what she's going to be sharing with us into deep consideration, because it does make a world of a difference in your quality of life. It really does.
Yeah,
And just because we're here in the city and you're doing mass transit and, you know, everybody's moving fast, and it doesn't mean that every day has to be that way. And it's really a matter of taking the time to understand that it's accessible, it's free, and it's really a mindful practice of just taking a step back and acknowledging this wonder. It's a wonder. It's a wonder, and how it serves as medicine. So I'm sorry, this is your segment, Cindy.
I love what you're saying. It's really interesting. I brought this book because last week I was cleaning out the potting shed at the nature center that I work with, and I found this book. It's called Our Plundered Planet, and it was published in 1948. And so I just couldn't believe that as I was about to come on with you, that this moldy book has been telling the same story over and over again, and that really the answer is kind of stepping away. The fear of, oh, we're doing all this damage, I don't see it working as well as what I see that happens when people slow down and really feel the love for the natural world. And so everything that I offer is about making it accessible, making it enjoyable, making it something you love. So depending on the audience, we'll be doing different things, because you have to meet your audience where they are.
And so I know you customize these sessions, I'll call them for lack of a better
Yeah,
word, because
perfect.
I know you have individuals and you also do organizations. So how does that work? Like, what does that process look like? How do you vet people and get a better understanding of what their needs are?
Ooh, it's always an opening conversation, sharing, encouraging people to share who they are, what it is they are coming for. And then from there, I always invite movement of the body, because we hold everything that happens in our lives in our bodies. It gets stuck there. So there's always bodily movement, and I can see how someone's even moving what it is that's going on in them. And so from there, from that place of hearing them, deeply listening to them, and also witnessing them and their movements, I can go from there and figure out what it is that will most open their hearts to the awe that is our life.
So what does a day look like on one of these adventures, right? And how do you pick the locations?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I have such a variety. I guide anywhere from Bryant Park to Wave Hill, as you mentioned, Orchard Beach. I mean, I'm up in Westchester often, so all over. And I think I let the location choose me, I'll say. I mean, there's so many different places that, like Bryant Park's a very different experience
Right,
than
because
being,
it's in the middle of Midtown.
right?
Yeah.
And so you learn how to be with what's there.
Right.
And pay attention to the beautiful London plane trees that are surrounding you, rather than the mountains that I might be witnessing when I'm somewhere else. So in terms of where I choose, yeah, it's usually I try to go to where the audience is. I try to make sure, no matter where we are in this world, that there's access to nature. We know through research that the more access you have to nature, that the better, the healthier you'll be, and the more well-being you'll have. And so that I see as a problem, actually, and that's why I want to stay close to the urban environments where it's very easy to forget about the natural world. It's very easy to trust the boxes that we buy off a shelf in a grocery store and lose trust with the plants that we can see growing out of the ground, that we know the soil they've been in. We know them. So it's that connection, reconnecting people.
Yeah, and it's the simple things, right? I was going through your work, and you had this one video where you were just sharing the synchronicity of the frogs singing and that whole like choir and chorus that was going on, and I gotta say, you know, I found it extremely therapeutic, just listening to it in a video. So I can only imagine what that feels like in person, because when you're walking by it, it's something that you can very easily bypass. But when you're stepping into it intentionally, it can serve as sound bathing.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. The frogs being the sound bath. Yeah. I think that stopping is I brought this photo today because I feel like it speaks so much of that essence of the awe that we can really witness. That, this is taken from 1962, 1968 maybe, when Apollo 8 went up, and it was the first view that a human being had of the Earth rising over the moon. It's Earthrise, the opposite of sunrise, right? It's an incredible moment. And what I love about it is that these astronauts were trained. I mean, these people were trained on the technical knowledge. They were overwhelmed with intellect. And when they got up there, every one of them was overwhelmed with an emotional reaction that they could not have been prepared for.
To see this
Yeah.
particular picture. And where did you get this?
Oh, it's been published, this particular photo, I'm not even sure where I bought this, but it's been published so many times. It's called Earthrise, and it just shows how vulnerable,
Right.
like
Again,
that,
it's a different point of view.
perspective.
Exactly.
That's it. Connection, perspective, all of that. I feel like that's really at the root of, no pun intended, of this work. And giving each other, through community, permission to hit pause, step outside to wherever you are, and just notice the world that you're living on, rather than just moving through it and missing it all.
Yeah, and being together with it.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think it's a wonderful conclusion, having experienced the solar eclipse, and how, again,
Earthquake.
going back to an earthquake, yeah, and we don't want to talk about that
The
one.
storm.
but there is a shaking going on of like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
I matter.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's what we're really talking about. And so I wanted to conclude on the perspective and point of view, and any advice you can offer everybody before we go.
Oh, step outside. Just notice, look up, look down, look around, and notice the world you're living on. It is incredible. And the more you love it, the more it'll be cared for and love you back.
Wonderful, and thank you for offering guidance in the process.
Thank you.
Cindy Olsen, everyone, founder of Cindy by Nature LLC. Once again, to learn more about Cindy by Nature's various programs, you can visit cindybynature.com. Stay tuned, there's more open when we return.